Traders, welcome back to the channel. We're talking about AMC, your favorite stock. Now, there was a few things that happened over the weekend, 4th of July being the big bang for your buck. And then going into this week right now, we're seeing Europe open a little bit up on the upside, and it's looking like AMC is gaining that momentum to get a push to $61, $64 and possibly the big breakout. So let's not waste any more time. Let's talk about what you want to see with the technicals, and maybe, just maybe, we'll get the breakout this week. Like, subscribe, do what you gotta do. Let's get to it.
I got no drip in my pocket. Must have forgot it, or maybe I already.
As far as good news, right? So the S3 pullback, whatever you want to talk about, that is kind of off the table. Wasn't really interesting. Wasn't bullish, bearish, nothing like that. AMZN cleared the air about that. Now everyone knows about the vote and my personal opinion on that vote. I will be voting no across the board for everything. I will not be voting yes on anything for AMC until we at least push above $100. And you know, I would prefer over 150 just for myself. Now, the good news about this week specifically, this was something that I typically won't hype up. I'm not a super big bullish guy when it comes to some of these news catalysts, especially with the weekend box office and things like that. That's not really going to move the stock immediately, in my opinion. However, AMZN announced a partnership of sorts with the UFC, and they will now be showing the UFC fights for an average of $25 per ticket rather than paying $65 for the pay-per-view. Now, people are wondering, will this, hurt UFC's revenue? Most likely it will not, because I mean, if you logically think about it, people are saying that yes, it was costing $75 per pay-per-view, but logistically that's just stupid. If there's 10 people at a party pitching for a $75 pay-per-view, it's nothing. $25 a seat at a movie theater, do the simple math, it's a lot more. Smart partnership on both sides, in my opinion. I'm curious what the cut will be. However, this will definitely drive in more traffic, and I think it's the start of AMC and possibly movie theaters collaborating with these specific sports. The NFL, NBA playoffs, MLB playoffs, these could all be very big, and possibly even a collaboration for the Olympics. We'll have to wait and see. I don't want to jump ahead, but it's really exciting to see AMC finally taking a step towards that next level, and something that their competition is not doing. You love to see it. Congrats, AMZN. Typically, I'm not a huge fan, but hey, you got me smiling today. But enough of the mumbo jumbo. Let's not waste any time to those charts. All right, so we're going to get right into it. I'm just going to go over a little bit of backtracking on what we talked about in the previous video, and then go over what I expect and kind of what I'm seeing since that video right now. So these were the key areas that we were focused on, this and this. They look absolutely identical. So you got a bottom here, and this is now your bottom right now. I could 100% be wrong, but this is just what I'm seeing and what I'm looking at, right? The same exact pattern, same double top going on there. It looks absolutely beautiful. Now, what I mentioned specifically going into this week was this, is from this bottom, what you wanted to see was a strong push above the daily that we had on Friday, and then you wanted to see a nice push above that weekly. Now, where I'm specifically looking at this resistance and things like that, I want to see a nice little push up here and a push back down. So this is what I'm looking for exactly. Since Friday and Saturday, what we were talking about, you get that nice double top on the end of Friday. You want to see a nice push going into the beginning of this week on Tuesday. Tomorrow, that's what you want to see. Push above this key resistance that I'm looking at right here. And this is where we're at right now based on Europe's close on Monday morning, just so you know. That's where we're looking at right now. So it's looking like we're already getting somewhat of a gap up, somewhat of a bullish push, which is pretty nice to see, right? So you want to see a nice push above this resistance, which is last week's open, a nice push above here, a retest, and then a push back. So this is where I would be looking personally for my options. Now, is there a possibility you just go straight up through it? There's 100% of that possibility, but me being the trader that I am, I'm constantly looking to mitigate as much risk as possible. I never want to FOMO in straight up to the top like this. I don't think that's a great strategy, and I just don't like your odds of making money with that strategy. Now, if you're in options, you actually leave at the bottom. Congratulations. It is what it is. I was unable to, just due to the circumstances of where the equity was at on the portfolio and how much we were trading based on oil and other things like that. So I want to be completely transparent. I do not have AMC options yet. This is exactly what I'm looking for, right? This is what I want to happen. So already you're at this point here. You want to see a nice push, like I said, above this and coming to retest this zone here. Now, let's say you break back down this area. Let's say you come down and you break back below the support. You have a quick opportunity, one, to get out of those options to mitigate any risk possible, which is always something that I want on the table. If I don't like a trade, I like to always be able to get right back out of it, just so I don't have all the maximum risk possible. I don't want to always just lose what I'm putting into a trade. At this point, I'm trying to make money on these options as much as possible and the majority of the time as well. So I'm always looking to make money on the trade. I'm not just looking to just dump money into it and hope and pray, especially at this point, because now you're able to play with a lot more money if you are making more money on the original AMC trades. So I do think this looks good. It's a short weekend. We have a lot of hype behind this weekend as well with the UFC news. I do anticipate that to get a nice little push up, and I think it's going to take the media outlets by storm a little bit as well. That is really bullish news in my opinion, the UFC deal especially, and I'm very hyped up about that as well. Another thing I want to look at again is going to be the OBV. Now, you guys have seen me talk about this quite a bit. Now, it looks identical to this range down here, almost identical, except this looks a lot more flat and a lot more bullish in my opinion. You're obviously going to be pushing out of this, and once you break out of this, I think you get a really quick push up to about this range here, 41.85. That's going to be really big. The question is how much of a push do you get from the OBV? Because as you've seen from Yahoo Finance, that volume is really dying down, and volume is going to really help AMC because it's been making these pushes to 64, 61 with minimal volume. The fact that it's getting the $61, $64 pushes with no volume should tell you something. That looks absolutely promising. All right, we're about to wrap up the video, but I just want to talk about a few focal points as well with that volume that we mentioned at the end of the TA. Now, it's not coincidental, and I've commented about it before, and we talked about it a lot in the Discord as well, that volume started to slow down after the last DTCC rule 005, I believe. That was the last time we started to see that volume will start pumping up. And it's been very flat since, and Friday was actually our most volume day, which is another key sign of a breakout in my opinion. So I want it to be a focal point that I'm a firm believer that I don't trade based on those rules being passed, and it might be surprising to even hear me talk about it if you follow my channel for any time at all, because I do not trade based on those rules or hopes or prayers. I trade based on the most factual things that I can find on a stock possible and a catalyst to get us moving. And with these technicals and with some of these deals coming out with the UFC, and then what they're going to be doing most likely with the next earnings, I like what's on the table for AMC, and it's worth mentioning that DTC 005 seems like the only rule that actually had an effect on AMC. No other rule really slowed down the stock. No other rule really stopped the volume. There was no direct effects. And is there a chance that this wasn't affected by the DTCC? 100% there is, but it's not a coincidence the timing on which the volume slowed down, in my opinion. Personally, that's just me. That's going to wrap the video up. I'll have another video out tomorrow going over what I see happening and kind of the price action that we have tomorrow. Did I get into options and things like that? And then if you want to see if I did get in as well, I'll post it most likely immediately on Twitter as well, not just in the Discord. Like, subscribe if you want. I appreciate all the love and support. Namaste.
About to take off like a rocket. Houston, we might have a problem, but that don't mean money.